T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
Okay, we got a roll program. Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
Apollo 8, Houston.
Apollo 8, over.
Hello, Apollo 8. Loud and clear.
Roger. Please be informed there is a Santa Claus.
That's affirmative. You're the best one to know.
Broadcasting live from the dark and cold dungeons deep beneath the KLAV studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. Prepare yourselves to be taken away into another dimension, as we now have control over your thoughts, fears, and perspective of the unexplained world you dare not speak of. With your hosts, Lindsay Knight and Michael Knight. Ladies and gentlemen, we now open the gates to the paranormal and beyond.
Broadcasting live from the KLAV studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, this is the Paranormal and Beyond. On January 25th, 1994, the Clementine Spacecraft, which was officially named the Deep Space Program Science Experiment, launched out of the Van-den-berg Air Force Base in conjunction between the Ballistic Missile Defense Organization and NASA, with its primary mission to make scientific observations of the moon and near-Earth asteroids. Throughout Clementine's in-flight orbit, over the years, its high-resolution camera, or high-res for short, managed to capture a staggering 2 million high-def photos of the moon's surface. However, upon further inspection of these photos that were sent back by Clementine's camera, they revealed remarkable artifacts that can still be seen even under the elusive cover-up attempts by NASA and our government. Straight ahead, Sander Mulder, expert and researcher of the Clementine conspiracy, will be joining us on the program to discuss his 14-year investigation into what can possibly be the biggest secret ever in the history of mankind. So get ready, because coming up, Sander Mulder and Project Golden Dragon, when we return right here on the Talk of Las Vegas, KLAV 1230 AM.
Your ticket to the unknown is at KnightsParanormalResearchSociety.com. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, hauntings, mysterious places, and more can be found at KnightsParanormalResearchSociety.com. Knights with a K, ParanormalResearchSociety.com. Based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Knights Paranormal Research Society is owned and operated by the renowned brother and sister team of Michael and Lindsay Knight. Seeing is believing. And at KnightsParanormalResearchSociety.com, you're going to believe. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight, for the Paranormal and Beyond. Join host Michael Knight and Lindsay Knight as they investigate the unexplained and most controversial mysteries of the world. The Paranormal and Beyond, where the paranormal lives on and conspiracies exposed. The Paranormal and Beyond, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight. Brought to you by Knights Paranormal Research Society.com.
Just because you've seen it in the news doesn't mean it's real.
So you're telling me you got physically attacked by a ghost?
Like I can tell you right now, I believe in the paranormal more than I believe in our government.
There are so many mysteries out there that are still yet to be explained.
You folks have some of your facts wrong, and you just keep talking about generalities.
With all due respect, sir, you have not brought anything to the table to prove us wrong.
This is the Paranormal and Beyond, and it's your show. Call us at 731-1230. Here again, Michael Knight and Lindsay Knight.
Welcome back to another brand new edition of the Paranormal Beyond. But first, be sure to check us out at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com, where you can link up to all the past shows by simply clicking on that archive link above. That's Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com. Ever want to be an actor? Well, you can by acting right now by logging on to HollywoodBoundActingAcademy.com. Again, that's HollywoodBoundActingAcademy.com. Special shout out to all those listening online through the KLAV 1230am.com website, and all those driving around in the Vegas Valley listening to us on your stereos. I'm your host, Michael Knight. Alongside of me is your hostess, Lindsay Knight, Princess and Darkness of the Airways. We are your radio vigilantes, spreading you the truth the only way we can, one broadcast at a time. All right, we got a fabulous show for you today because we are going to get into artifacts on the moon and aliens. Sander Mulder is standing by. Lindsay, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Michael. How are you once again?
I am great. Once again, another Friday. Just to remind everybody, a great week coming up on the Paranormal Beyond. We got June DeYoung, Psychic to the Stars, Monday, and we have the Queen Mary with Jason Gates, Susan Bell,
talking about
Mike
Beyond
Loop,
Expo,
and talk about the expo coming up.
Oh yeah.
And Friday, I can't tell you, I forgot. It's in front of me, but I want to get to the show because we have a great guest who's all the way from the Netherlands. So Lindsay, let's get into today's news.
Topping the news for the Paranormal and Beyond this Friday, November 8th, bringing you up-to-the-minute news on all the bizarre and strange happenings around the globe. Well, it's not every day you see someone climbing out of a grave. But for one woman in Brazil who was visiting her family tomb, that's exactly what she was in for. According to local reports, the woman, who has not been identified, was at a cemetery in São Paulo, Ferraz, when she heard some odd noises and saw some dirt moving near a grave. That's when she spotted the man buried alive. The woman notified authorities, who came to dig out the man. He had managed to dig out his head and arms before emergency services arrived. A City Hall employee, it is not immediately clear how he ended up buried alive, but sources say it could have been an altercation and he was severely beaten before being buried alive. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. In other news, a man was able to successfully sue his wife for being ugly to the tune of $120,000. That's right, being ugly. As bizarre as that is, a man in China sued his wife for being ugly after he discovered she had $100,000 worth of plastic surgery before he met her. Quan Feng sued his wife after the birth of their daughter, not understanding why his daughter was so ugly when they were both good-looking individuals. In the lawsuit, he claims she married him under false pretenses. Quan won the lawsuit and was awarded $120,000 in the settlement. Reporting the news for the Paranormal and Beyond, this is Lindsay Knight.
Wow, talk about being detrimental to your self-esteem. Can you imagine being sued and losing because you're so ugly and you have to go through life like that? You know, obviously those plastic surgeries did not help this woman, and give it to China to only do something like this.
Well, it's a sad situation because obviously the daughter's going to have to be scarred for life because he's stating that his daughter is hideous.
Well, maybe she'll move in like her mother and have some plastic surgery done as well. But good luck to them. All right, let's get into our main topic because our special guest, Sander Mulder, has been deep into his investigation regarding the Clementine space mission. His project, Golden Dragon, started 14 years ago and has become the most in-depth disclosure ever performed by anyone. Sander's project is based on a personal theory about a major conspiracy by the U.S. Department of Defense, a whistleblower who left cryptographic clues and finally exposing an unintentionally blurred out object from the Zeeman crater on the moon's surface. Sander has also produced a documentary about his research, which you can view on YouTube, entitled The Biggest Secret of Mankind, The Clementine Conspiracy, a.k.a. Project Golden Dragon, which is close to hitting 1 million viewers since its release. The Paranormal and Beyond would like to welcome all the way from the Netherlands and into the program, Sander Mulder. How you doing, Sander?
I'm doing fine.
Hey.
Sander, thank you so much for coming on the show, all the way from the Netherlands. How is the weather out there, by the way?
It's stormy. It's about gales of 60 miles per hour.
Well,
Hey, Sander, what's weird about this, it's our nighttime and it's your morning.
Yes, it is. It's 8 o'clock in the morning.
So, Sander, what got you into this? Because I'm very fascinated with moon anomalies. And we had guests that talked about this and what the government doesn't want you to see up there. How did you get started with Project Golden Dragon?
Well, it started 40 years ago when I saw this logo of the Clementine mission. And the one thing I noticed immediately that there was something wrong about the surface on the moon. There were 3 small objects, 3 sketches that did not match the rest of the logo. So what I did is that I enlarged it and looked into it, and I saw that it is totally different than all the other mares and all the other craters, because these were dots and stripes. And these little sketches, these were obviously drawn with an intent. But it was very difficult to determine what it was, because when I looked at moon maps, it couldn't be a crater, it couldn't be a ridge on the moon surface. And so it took at least 4 more years before, after the release of the Clementine pictures, that I was able to determine that in the exact position where this first sketch was located, that it could be the blotched or smeared object. And
I watched your video, and it does bear a striking resemblance. And, as far as when it comes to space and all that, there are cryptic, things they include into like logos.
Yes, they do. Yeah, a lot, especially Apollo missions. There's a lot of weird stuff in it. Pyramids, Apollo, and Greeks and Roman gods, all kinds of constellations you can see in the back. One is that is most seen is Orion, for example. And Orion was very important with the Egyptians. So there's a very weird combination between ancient history and NASA.
Sander, this anomaly that you found, is this on the dark side of the moon?
Yes, it's on the dark side of the moon. It's located in the Zeeman crater, which is on the South Polar region, in the Aitken Basin, which is what you could see as a hole in the moon, because an asteroid 4.5 billion years ago smashed a giant hole in it. So it's one big mine, you could say.
How big is this anomaly? Like, is it per mile? Is it that big, or is it something that's just?
It's tremendous. The anomaly, or what I call the machine, is 35 miles long,
wow,
30.5 miles high, and about 3.5 miles wide. So yes, it's
massive.
Huge.
And this all started just because of the Clementine patch.
Yes, it all started with the patch. Yes.
Well, let's talk about the Clementine. What exactly is the Clementine? I mean, what is that, a mission or?
The Clementine satellite intentionally was made to circle around Earth and to test equipment that was capable of detecting nuclear installations, for example, in Russia, China, and other nations. But because of funding, at least that's what the DoD, Department of Defense, and NASA said, because of funding problems, they decided not to circle around the Earth, but to send it to the moon, to take pictures of the moon using a whole new set of cameras, infrared cameras, ultraviolet registration stuff. And so they sent a satellite to the moon. But I found out that this probably is not the reason why they sent it to the moon.
So probably the previous Apollo mission seen something already. And they were going out to investigate even further.
Yeah, well, if you watch on my channel, you can see a lot of videos with weird stuff that is photographed by the Apollo missions.
Uh-huh.
Most of the people say these are scratches and reflections. I don't see it that way. I have equipment, which is high-end forensic equipment, and I can enlarge extremely and also sharpen in a very specific way that I don't get too many artifacts. So I see a lot of weird stuff in these pictures.
Sander, now with this photograph in particular that you pretty much, found out that it's something this massive and could be, what Mike was telling me, possibly, because it looks like it has scales. Is this, how many pictures or photographs was taken of this particular anomaly, or is it just one particular picture?
Well, the thing is that Clementine didn't take pictures. Clementine made scans of the moon surface, and it scanned about 6,000 scans per hour. And it made, well, that's also strange because NASA says it's only 1.8 million pictures, but I have also found other websites that claim that Clementine made 2.5 million pictures. So there's a difference of 700,000 pictures. And no one really knows how many images were taken. The object itself, when you look at the smallest picture that the DoD produced, is built of about 95 pictures.
Well, a lot of these, photographs, or not photographs, or scans, whenever they go to the moon or Mars or wherever they go, in space to, the satellites or the probes, when they come back or they get those pictures back, a lot of them get leaked out, or a lot of them are, that have anomalies in there are sketched out so that you don't see that there's anything in there.
Well, basically rubbed out.
Right,
because
exactly.
We had somebody on the program one time who actually said there's a department in NASA that is in charge of rubbing out these anomalies or these artifacts.
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Was this one particularly leaked out, these photographs or these scans that you,
No. Okay. The thing is that Clementine, the mission Clementine, is a DoD mission, a military mission. But it was a joint venture with NASA. So what they basically did, they took pictures of the moon, the pictures that the DoD found interesting, they kept for themselves, and the rest they forwarded to NASA, so for the public and for science. The thing is that the DoD did the entire imagery. They had the imagery experts and specialists. Every picture that came in, every image that came in, first was examined, and then 15 minutes later it was sent to the scientists. So within these 15 minutes, they had to do something with these pictures. And you can not do any complicated obfuscations within 15 minutes. So they had to use a very basic technique, which I call clipping.
So tell us how clipping works.
Oh, clipping is basically that you have an image with bright parts and dark parts. And clipping sort of equalizes the colors. So it makes the light parts darker, grayer, and the dark parts lighter, also grayer. And at a certain level, our human eye is no longer able to make it visible for us. So the only way to make it visible again is reverse the clipping.
So it's sort of like camouflaging an image.
Yes.
So not smearing it out, but just changing the pixel density and lights and contrast just to camouflage it within the background.
Exactly. And there's now software which is called Ultralux. It's developed by an Italian, Mr. Tomassoni. And Mr. Tomassoni was able to create an algorithm that can reverse this clipping. He did not intend to use it that way, but it works that way.
Now, with all the research that you did with the Project Golden Dragon, what was the most fascinating, and what exactly made you say, hey, you know what, this is really important. I really need to research this and tell everybody about it?
Well, everyone told me that there was an anomaly on the moon, and it was a picture of a giant object. When you know something about astronomy, then you know that these are not pictures, but scans. And that because of the size of the object, it's about 57 kilometers length, it could not be just a simple picture. So this picture contains, of this image contains, of more than one picture. And when you then see that every rotation of the moon, of the Clementine satellite, took 5 hours, and all the anomalies, all these obfuscations are in the same position next to each other, forming one major part, then you know that the NASA or the DoD should have had problems during a period of 60 hours. And that's almost impossible in the same position. So that made me very curious. And that's why I started to examine the whole stuff.
So is your main focus on this big anomaly that's on the Zima crater?
Yeah.
Okay. In your conclusion, not trying to jump ahead, what is your hypothesis on what this could be? I've seen your video, and it does, when I first seen it before you even mentioned the dragon thing, it did look like a dragon, and you could see the scales, and you can tell this is not some sort of just, event that was seen there. This had intelligence behind it.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if it is an alien machine or alien life form, or a machine controlled by aliens. The only thing I saw is that it is totally different from the rest of the moon's surface. It does not match. And after I enhanced it with the Ultralux algorithm, I saw that these scales they had certain patterns, and it's not a machine as we know it on the Earth. Yeah, so what I basically think is that it is an excavation machine, that it is something that investigates or excavates the moon's surface.
Is it your belief that there is a mining operation to this day on the moon?
Yes, I think there is activity on the moon. I've seen other videos on YouTube. Unfortunately, 99.9% is fake or CGI, but there are small amateur movies which showed little dots approaching and departing from the moon. So I think that there is a lot of activity going on, especially on the dark side.
Have you gotten any resentment or negative feedback from the higher sources? Let's just say NASA that's, told you, hey, you can't, come out and say any of this stuff, what have you?
No, not directly, no. I've had a lot of people that visit my website and leave messages, which I don't show because they are very rude, and some even are threats. And I take these very serious, so I report them to YouTube and I let their channel close.
Well, yeah, it's very fascinating. The other fascinating thing that you go into in your investigation amongst watching the video is when you do the color saturation. And what got me is I started thinking, why are all these pictures of the moon's surface pretty much black and white? And we know that Clementine had color in their scans. And you brought out the color which was inside these craters.
Yes. Well, what I basically did is that my suspicion is that NASA or the DoD used a specific software called image alchemy. And image alchemy is capable of reducing colors in an image or changing the color space. So what I did is that I reversed that. I added saturation. And when you do that, then you see most of the original colors back. And then you can also see in the Zeeman crater that in the crater itself, the moon's surface is a totally different color because blue and green and some purple. And what I did was that I enhanced the colors, and then after that I removed all the normal colors of the moon's surface. And what you end up with is a Zeeman crater with all kinds of weird stuff in it, with blue and green colors.
Do you think, here's a question. We haven't gone back to the moon in a long time. Like you heard the opening where I played a clip of Apollo 8 where they're talking back to Houston, and they basically say that Santa Claus does exist. We all know what that means, that, there's alien life exists. And they've seen it because there's also talk about the mission with Buzz Aldrin where they're walking on the moon and basically reporting back that they're being watched by two massive, I would guess, spacecraft that are sitting on the edge of the lunar crater. Have you heard about that as well?
Yeah. Because of my investigation, I have a lot of contact with people worldwide. And also scientists and people that are working in space agencies. Well, I'm not allowed to reveal the names because of the problems that we could get. But yes, there are signals and there are indications that something happened on the moon. It's probably not the reason why they haven't been back yet. you must see this. If we would send people to the moon, it will cost couple billion dollars. And no one is interested in investing $1 billion in the moon because now everyone focuses on Mars. I think it's a funding problem and not a problem that they fear to go back to the moon.
So you don't think that they already know enough, I would bet, about the moon, that now they're focusing on Mars at this point, and they're just leaving the moon alone and letting those aliens do what they got to do?
Well, they possibly already got, as much as they needed. And it's true, because all you hear about now is Mars, the Mars mission, them going back to Mars. And I keep saying, okay, why not go investigate the moon again? But again, who knows what they've already discovered and have returned with.
Well, that's the official version. I mean, NASA is not a civil organization. It's an affiliate of the Department of Defense. There has always been talk about black ops, secondary operations, and covert operations. My guess is that they are still working on a moon program, but we don't see it. We don't know where NASA invests the money in because there are no official records. My guess is that in, let's say, 5 years, that it will land on the moon again, especially in the region of the Zima crater, because the Chinese are trying to do that. The Russians have the plans to go there, especially the Zima region, the South Polar region. And my guess is that NASA is also working on the program.
I've done research also about, let's say like moon bases and stuff like that. And there has been a lot of pictures that also came out that's not, just regarding the Zima crater, but also other craters where you see like factory-like structures on the side. And it's always inside or on the side of a crater. So what do you think this resource is that they're picking up?
There are people who think that they are after helium-3, which is nuclear material. But the only thing with helium-3 is that it's less radioactive, but very powerful. There are also people who think that they are after gold, because there is gold in the regolith and other materials. And gold is, of course, a very important material, not just for Earth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, what was I going to say? Do you think that the moon has a correlation with Mars as well?
I'm not quite sure. Because there are people who think that we moved from Earth to the moon, and that we later on, after a war or problems, moved on from the moon to Mars. So I don't follow that. What do you call it?
That side
the way they're thinking.
Yeah, that side of the coin. you know? All right. When it comes to the moon itself, whatever they're mining there, and it ain't us who's mining this, obviously. Is the moon creating this? Because in your video, you spoke about these, I forgot what they're called, these lights. Is the moon an alive body? As far like planet-like, it's not just this dead satellite. Do you think it is like Earth in some sort of way, but different?
Yeah, it could be an own environment. I mean, we always say that space is empty. Space is not empty. Space is filled with life. Space is filled with dust. There's interstellar dust. So there's no vacuum at all. Vacuum does not exist. There will always be pressure, but it is so little pressure that you almost cannot measure it, but there is pressure. I think that the moon does have an atmosphere.
Oh,
not the kind of atmosphere as we have.
I've seen pictures where, it's not the black and white, but there has been leaked pictures where you can see an atmosphere. You can see a bluish haze around the moon. And not only that, upon a lot of the Apollo missions, when the picture's taken, you can see a separate light source from above. That's so different from the sun or the moon. And there's just so many anomalies when it comes with the moon. And it's just kind of weird how, it all stopped. And the way NASA is now by pretty much stopping what we think is, space mission to space, and everything now is being, United States is hitching a ride with the Russians. So my whole thing, it looks like that NASA is trying to keep us from looking up.
Not necessarily. I mean, when you got now the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and which takes a lot of pictures of the moon, but they also recently sent up a satellite to the moon that has to investigate the atmosphere on the moon, because NASA always said the moon does not have an atmosphere, but apparently they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't send up a satellite.
Oh, so now they're almost agreeing there's an atmosphere.
Yes.
Just like how they said there's no water on Mars. And it's like every day they find something. Next, I want to hear, hey, we have an alien on Mars.
Well, when you look, I have one video on my YouTube channel that shows a picture of Mars. And it's called Water on Mars. And NASA always shows pictures of Mars taken from above. And that, of course, gives a different perspective. So what they did was change the perspective of this one picture. And when you do so, then you see that what first looked like a lava field with all kinds of minerals, when you flip the picture or change the angle of the picture, you see a valley with a river.
Oh, wow.
So it's just the way how you look at it.
Sander, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to get back with you and talk about more about Project Golden Dragon when we return right here on the Talk of Las Vegas, KLAV 1230 AM.
You're listening to the Paranormal and Beyond. Join us at 731-1230. That's 731-1230. Lindsay and Michael return after this. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight, for the Paranormal and Beyond. Join host Michael Knight and Lindsay Knight as they investigate the unexplained and most controversial mysteries of the world. The Paranormal and Beyond, where the paranormal lives on and conspiracies exposed. The Paranormal and Beyond, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight. Brought to you by Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com. Your ticket to the unknown is at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, hauntings, mysterious places, and more can be found at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com. Knights with a K, Paranormal Research Society.com. Based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Knights Paranormal Research Society is owned and operated by the renowned brother and sister team of Michael and Lindsay Knight. Seeing is believing. And at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com, you're going to believe.
Just because you've seen it in the news doesn't mean it's real.
So you're telling me you got physically attacked by a ghost?
Like, I can tell you right now, I believe in the paranormal more than I believe in our government.
There are so many mysteries out there that are still yet to be explained.
You folks have some of your facts wrong, and you just keep talking about generalities.
With all due respect, sir, you have not brought anything to the table to prove us wrong.
This is the Paranormal and Beyond, and it's your show. Call us at 731-1230. Here again, Michael Knight and Lindsay Knight.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, we are talking with Sander Mulder about Project Golden Dragon. But remember to check us out at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com to catch those great past shows you missed if you weren't tuning in. We always got your back. All right, Sander, are you still with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sander, here's a question I'm getting a text from. Is there water on the moon, and can you grow vegetation? Do you think you can?
No, you can't. You can grow vegetation on the moon. There is water on the moon, but it's in the form of frozen ice, and it's in permanent shadows of the crater.
Okay.
But there cannot be water on the moon because if direct sunlight shines on the moon's surface, the temperature gets up way above 100 degrees C, so it would evaporate.
So, Sander, let's get into did you coin the term Project Dragon?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's elaborate on that, because people are thinking, okay, why do you call it Project Dragon? Because I've seen your video and there's a lot about it that symbolizes the Chinese symbols for dragon. As far as the patch, the number, what was it, 19?
Number 9.
Yeah, number 9 on the patch, and just so much. And then the anomaly on the Zemo crater, which the scales, everything resembles a dragon.
Well, how shall I put this? The thing with this alien technology is that it is something we have not seen before. Right after our birth, we see, of course, all kinds of pictures, and we take that in our brain. So we remember when we see something. We do this our entire life. But if there is something that we have never seen before, we don't know how to describe it. And my guess is that when you look at this picture, what I made visible, if you do not know what to look at, you don't recognize it. People have a certain way of thinking about technology on Mars and on the Moon, but that's only because we have seen machines on Earth. So they try to compare this machine on Mars or on the Moon with our technology, and that is something they shouldn't do it. When you let that alone and you make your mind free, then you will see the machine.
Exactly.
And when I look at my picture, I see a dragon.
It does look like a dragon. I mean, the scales and everything. And when you discuss, you're so informative in your video. So people who are not open and very close-minded because growing up and being conformed on pictures and stuff like that.
That's exactly what I meant.
Here's an example of that scenario. When people see like a box in the air flying, which is like a UFO, a lot of people say, well, that can't be because it's not aerodynamic. However, you don't have to be aerodynamic to fly in space because there's no atmosphere. And when people get out that way of thinking and see outside the box, then then they can see the picture that you are showing on the moon. And this thing is massive. I mean, if I was there, I would look like a speck of sand to this. This would blow me away.
Yeah, but what is massive? I mean, we are giants compared to an ant.
Oh, yeah.
So perhaps somewhere in the universe are people which are the size of 1,000 times a human. We have no idea about size.
And this thing is as big as a state, ain't it?
This is 2 times the size of New York City.
Oh, my goodness.
That's huge.
So it's obviously not just an ink blot.
No, it's not. I mean, you need quite a lot of power to move such a thing.
Okay, let's get into the correlation with the Chinese symbols. Because do you think that from the get-go of the Clementine mission being put together, they knew exactly what they were going to do? Hence, that's why they put the symbolism on their patch, thinking nobody would catch on, but they forgot that Sander Mulder's out there watching it. do you think that because...
Yeah, well, my guess is that they already saw it before the Clementine mission. And I think it was probably during the Galileo mission, which took place in 1989, and also did 2 flybys with the moon and made pictures of the dark side of the moon. Probably they already found it there, and so they knew what they were looking for, and perhaps that's the reason why they sent up the Clementine satellite in 1994.
So you don't think that this is like a UFO spaceship? This is more like a mining machine, possibly.
There are people who say that these vector objects, these vector spaceships that they also see in NASA pictures, that this could be a shape-shifting machine, which is capable of getting in all forms, shape-shifting, and it can change into a vector shape, but also into a dragon. And I even found a second picture now on the moon, which has the same features, the same anatomical features, and probably is a dragon, but in a different shape.
Now, Sander, you have actually, I know you for 14, how many years? 14 years?
14.
14 years you've been studying.
Yeah, well, now more than 14 already.
More than 14 on just this one alone, right? But you've been doing this for, 40 years? So I'm pretty sure you've come across numerous pictures and scans and, whatever else. Is there anything that comes close to what you have found with this golden dragon?
No, nothing at all.
Also,
this is a unique picture in its sense.
Also, in your video, you talk about a massive footprint.
Yes.
What is that exactly? Is this thing walking on the moon? Can you imagine 2 times the state of New York walking? That's like mind blowing, right?
Well, that's
there.
why we have earthquakes.
But there are people who say that there are earthquakes on the moon, moonquakes caused by something they don't know, and it starts on the dark side of the moon, and people say that the moon could be hollow or has a different structure as Earth, and that all these sound waves or all these waves travel through the moon to the near side, and that's why the Apollo astronauts saw these strange moon waves.
Yeah, they also reported that the moon rang like a bell, like it's hollow.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And there's also theories that the moon is actually a spacecraft itself, that it's artificial.
There are theories about it. I don't have any evidence, but there are theories. I mean, Project Golden Dragon is also a theory.
Yeah.
It's not based on 100% facts.
Let me ask you this question, because this is, I want to know about this. Maybe you have an answer. When it comes to, and I'm going to differentiate Mars and the moon, because when it comes to the moon, everybody has, it's like there's a big secret when it comes to the dark side of the moon. It's a hush-hush situation. Nobody wants to talk about what's on the dark side of the moon, if there's anything there. And, there's so many pictures and, sources saying that there is, anomalies and, what have you. When it comes to Mars, though, we don't hear anything about, like, let's hide something on this side of Mars. Have they pretty much investigated? I know Mars is huge. Have they investigated pretty much all parts of Mars?
Oh, yeah. They started in the early 60s already sending satellites to Mars. In the 70s, in the 80s, and in the 90s, and they still continue to do so. So if they ever found something, yes, they know about it. There's no doubt about it. The Russians even claim that, I'm not quite sure, these are 2 asteroids circling around Mars, and there was a Russian satellite which was near one of these asteroids, and suddenly it disappeared. And there was a Russian scientist, a female scientist, who claimed that they had alien contact, or they had contact, and that the satellite was destroyed. Of course, this was not an official message from the Russian government, but she claims that they had contact. And I'm sure that the U.S. found something there.
In your research, have you ever uncovered that the U.S. is possibly working side by side with actual aliens?
No, I don't have any such evidence. No.
Interesting.
No.
So, do you think, as well as that, everything's hidden on the dark side of the moon? Since we could only see one side, that'd be a perfect hiding place.
I'm not necessarily hiding. These dragons, in my opinion, in my theory, they can shapeshift, but they also can change color, like a chameleon, and they are transparent and translucent. That made it very difficult for me to enhance it.
Do you think?
So,
do you think these dragons are probably the ones mistaken from mythological times, coming to Earth and people seeing these in the air?
Yeah, I think that's why I call it Project Dragon, because I think there's a lot of similarities with the Chinese dragons. And I also described that in my video. And the anatomical features of this machine are equal to anatomical features of dragons in the Chinese dragons. And my guess is that when you see something you've never seen before, you try to describe it. And the Chinese described it by taking parts of animals. So the machine, for example, on the moon has the head of a camel. And here's the ears of a cow, the belly of a frog, the paws of a tiger, claws of an eagle, neck of a snake. So all these similarities, they are remarkable.
What about the face on Mars? I know that they tried to debunk that, saying that it was just like a mountain or what have you, something like that. But do you think that could be like another shapeshifter?
Could be a...
Like
no, I don't think it's a shapeshifter. I think it could be an ancient building. It could be a kind of pyramid or the Sphinx as we have it in Egypt. it looks that way. I mean, I have not studied these pictures. Perhaps I will do in future, but there's a lot to do on the moon.
The only reason why I say that is because from when they took that picture, I believe was in the 70s, late 70s, I believe. And then they're saying that now it's depleted and it's getting small. It's not as high as it used to be as far as like the height of this face, or it's changing. So that's why.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is that since the 90s, of course, as forensic techniques to reveal these anomalies evolved, also the techniques evolved that are used to disguise or to hide these anomalies. And nowadays they are just perfect. It's almost impossible to detect any manipulation.
I mean, you do great work with the enhancement of video and all this. And I was watching your video and I was like, God, how do you do that? Can you teach me? Because I can use that in the paranormal, to tell if that's a real ghost. However, it's just fascinating to see how large this is. And like I said before, we've talked to other people who've talked about bases on the moon. And when you talked about YouTube videos where you can see these craft leaving or coming to the moon, and you see them, I don't look at other videos. The videos I look at are the STS missions. Have you watched those? And you see a craft watching them, and the minute it comes into view, they pan out and go back to mission control. I'm like, no, keep it there. That was a UFO. But
actually, I record all the missions. From the first moment they went up to into space, I've recorded the missions. I started with radio transmissions and via AM radio, shortwave radio, later on satellite, and now I am recording all the missions, all spacewalks, for example.
So have you
during
heard
the spacewalks, you see a lot of strange, weird stuff.
Have you heard anything like them talking, like banter back and forth, perhaps on anything strange?
Yes, and there are recordings of it on the internet, and these are genuine recordings. There's no manipulation.
Oh, yeah, I've heard some where they're like talking. No, like I said, the Apollo moon landing, they were talking back to mission control saying we're being watched. And from what I get at every space mission, no matter coming out from Earth, we're always being watched on what we're doing.
There is, NASA has this habit of recording everything, and also of the Apollo missions, they had these scriptings. And these are freely available. You can read them on the internet. You can download them. And when you read these mission reports, then a lot of weird stuff comes up. Indeed, that they have seen things and then that they have been watched.
I need to ask you, what is the weirdest thing that you've probably heard or seen when it comes to anything UFO alien?
The weirdest things I've ever seen, personally, you mean?
Yes.
13 UFOs.
Yes.
I've seen 14 UFOs in my life, a couple together with my wife while walking in the city. I've seen a lot of weird stuff. I used to work with NATO. I was a radar controller there, and I've seen stuff on the radar there as well. We didn't talk about it, of course, but these were blips. I mean, these were just echoes, and you could not identify anything about them, but they were just 10 times faster than a normal airplane. So I've seen quite a weird stuff. The weirdest stuff I'm working on right now is a project called Space Jumper. And Space Jumper is just an enhancement of these little blue lights that you see in NASA space missions. I enhanced these flashes, and it turned out to be little spaceships.
Oh, wow. See, when you talk about that, you're also talking about these lights on the moon.
Yeah, the TLP, the translunar phenomena. I believe that these lights are created by the dragons or by other equipment that is excavating the moon using a chemical extraction, which is spraying chemicals on the moon's surface and then putting a huge electro discharge through the fluids. And I'm not an industrial chemist, but what they basically do is that they extract minerals and elements from these fluids. And that's why you see these lights. These lights are just laser lights or flashes from an equipment that produces electrical discharge.
So do you think the moon is heavily inhabited by these dragons?
I don't think that the moon is inhabited, but they will occasionally visit the moon, yes, just for excavation purposes.
For when you say excavation purposes, who knows what minerals, gold. What about us here? Is there anything possibly on the moon that we can use?
Yes, well, of course, the helium-3, which is nuclear material, which is very...
Not good.
We don't need no more of that, Sander.
No, but the thing with helium-3 is that it's almost not radioactive. And you need only a few tons to lighten up the United States for a whole year.
But that can be turned into a weapon. You know how it goes.
Yes, it could also be turned to a weapon.
Yeah, and see, that's why we're not ready to mingle with the other beings, because we're out here blowing each other up. And they're like, those guys are crazy down there. Stay away from Earth. Just watch it.
I had this question one time, why have not we been visited? Why is the White House not been visited? Why have not been contacted directly? Well, I'm not sure if that has not happened yet, but one explanation would be, and I've seen this in a Star Trek movie, that when a high advanced species approaches a less sophisticated species, less technology species, it will always end up in war. You should not interfere with another culture, especially when this culture is not less technically sophisticated. So perhaps these aliens also have directives not to get involved in our culture.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes perfect sense. So through your whole 14 years behind Project Golden Dragon, what is your definitive like end quote about your research? What is the package with the bow tie?
What I wanted to show people is that we should not believe everything that the government shows us. That we should do our own investigations. That we should be open for the idea that there are aliens in our solar system. That we do not see them because we have no idea how we should interpret it. And what I also think is important is that we shouldn't be scared. We should be afraid or scared, because these dragons are on the moon and they're not absolutely not interested in Earth. Otherwise, we would see them walking around.
That's a scary thought if they were. I don't know where to go. These things are big. I'm going to start digging a hole.
They would crush New York City in a day.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sander, we are running out of time. Tell everybody where they can watch your video at and your website.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and my channel is called 1967 Sander, Sander.
And you have a website as well, right?
No, that's the only website. That's my YouTube channel.
Are you working on anything else at the moment?
Yeah, Project Space Jumper.
And you want to tell us something real quick about that, or you want to leave that for?
No, it's basically enhancements of these little flashes that you see in NASA transmissions, NASA TV transmissions, and everyone says that it is cosmic rays. I forgot the word, cosmic rays. I deciphered it, I decoded it, and it's not cosmic rays.
Okay.
It's little spaceships.
Well, Sander, thank you for being on the program. Very, very interesting work you do. And I commend you for going out there and spreading the truth about possible, or should I say alien contact, because I'm a firm believer. Join us back here Monday, and be sure to check out his YouTube channel, Blow Your Mind. Monday, back here, June DeYoung, Psychic to the Stars. You're all seen her on the Ellen DeGeneres Show. Will be joining us to talk about her gifts and her many near-death experience when we return right here on The Paranormal and Beyond. Good night, everybody.